Ajay Patil joins us, CFO with Cummins India. Ajay, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Now, first, let's understand the numbers. Top line and EBITDA growth. And if I compare EBITDA growth with the profit, there seems to be a divergence, which is that while there is a double-digit growth in EBITDA margins are also in double-digit, but net profit is up 2%. Is this because of a write-off or something which we are missing on?
Good morning to all of you, and as well as good morning to all the viewers. No, certainly when you look at our full year number, we just closed a year with a record revenue. And you talked about the margin there. So if you look at our operating margin year on year compared to last year, they kind of expanded by about 100 basis points. But on the net profit side, there has been obviously an evident pressure on two things. One is on the commodity side, that inflation continues to bite in terms of the margin. And also on the other income, there are cyclicality with respect to how some of the other income items move, especially the dividends from associates and joint ventures, as well as some other income items. Those are possibly the reason as you see some bit of a difference between how you see the operating margin as well as how you see the net profit.
Why have you not given a concrete forward guidance? Is this because what's happening in the world, China, Ukraine, US?
I think the reason we did not give a guidance is primarily because the supply chain disruptions continues to be uncertain in terms of how they are going to get streamlined as and when. So that uncertainty still plays out. And because of the nature of our business is such that we have a significant amount of domestic and exports business, supply chain continues to be an important aspect for both inward and outward for us. And we have been seeing a fair amount of uncertainty on that front, number one. Number two, also from a semiconductor point of view, we still have shortages on the electronics part. And we don't see any concrete sort of a clarity to say by this quarter or by this period, those supply chains are going to get streamlined. And therefore, we felt, maybe slightly on a conservative bias to say that we do not want to give a guidance at this point of time. But as we go forward and situation improves, certainly we'll be the first one to come up and say, here is how we see the year playing out.
There was a big change in your business because suddenly the requirement for diesel engines was not there. And I remember having this conversation where you did indicate that yes, the demand for diesel engine is going down and the demand for alternate sources of energy is moving up, and that is where Cummins is moving. But guess what's happened in last one quarter? Electricity shock, power cuts, it is back to thermal coal, and it is back to basic electricity consumption. How are you looking at approaching this unique situation?
So just to clarify and recap our conversation in the past, what we had said was that the usage of backup power would reduce as a consequence of the grid power reliability increasing, not necessarily decline in demand. Because to refresh that conversation, what we had said was that the need for a backup power in any critical infrastructure will stay despite reliability of grid improving. As an example, you look at any infrastructure, whether it's a hospital or a data center or a commercial real estate or residential real estate, cannot function without having a backup power as part of its critical infrastructure. Back to your question in terms of what is happening in this particular quarter, clearly the surge in demand with respect to power, because we have a really hot summer this year through the country, that certainly shot up the demand substantially. Number one. Number two, also the consumption pattern is rising. I mean, you would look at the average electricity usage, what it was, let us say, per household 5 years ago to what it is today. So that, of course, is growing every passing year, and the capacities are not coming. The third point is what it does to the standby power. Certainly the usage of gensets during this period of power shortages would certainly shot up. And we have seen this cyclicality play out during the summer months. And therefore, what I would say is that with respect to the core power generation, whether it's coming from thermal or alternate or even from nuclear side, that of course is a need for getting the grid ready to meet the demand of industry and consumers. On the other side, for our business, genset as a standby power or a backup power I think that would continue. The usage pattern may vary depending on how the grid power reliability plays out. But I think demand for a genset will sustain simply because of it being a critical infrastructure.
All right, so really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see much more of you going forward.